How can you create a workshop that will blow away your team with less than 60 minutes of preparation time? In today's episode, we're going to talk about just that, because the Workshop Wednesday community helps you to run high energy and result-driven workshops so that you can take back control over your work week. And with this template, the Workshop Creation Playbook, we're going to show you step by step, and you can follow along in this video on how to do that. So let's go. Last week, we talked about the 5 levels of autonomy when it comes to distributed work and how the winning companies today have figured out better ways of working together. This week, I'll walk you through a Workshop Wednesday template, which you can copy today to create your own workshops. And don't worry if you have never done this before, it's easier than you think. This template is a combination of best practices that I've built up through the years. And one of the biggest inspirations for the structure of the template is this book, The Workshop Survival Guide by Rob Fitzpatrick and Devin Hunt. How to design and teach workshops that work every time. If you've read the book, then you will recognize the first part. It's about designing workshops. That's covered in the template. And the second part is about facilitation and teaching. I'm not sponsored by these guys, but you can find the link to the book down below and you can read it. For this video, however, I'm going to walk through the Workshop Wednesday template and you can follow along. We're going to create a workshop about working remote. Okay, so let's get to it. With these 8 steps, you can prepare any workshop, from a 1-hour workshop until a multi-day workshop like a design sprint. You can create high energy and result-driven workshops within the hour, and once you get the hang of it, you will often need less. The template is available as a Google Docs format, which you can also download as a PDF. And in this video, we're going to walk through step by step. We're going to create our own workshop about working remote. But what you can see is that there are 7 steps before you set up any slides or your digital whiteboard like Miro and Miro. And that's because it's hard to look at the big picture while staring at a single slide. Creating slides is a time sponge. Maybe you recognize this because it will absorb every second you have. And it could also be possible that you don't even need the slides at all. So we're going to save that for the last. But what you see is that every step is time boxed. So for this step, you only need 2 to 5 minutes. And because of that, you will focus on the overall design of your workshop. And that will save you a huge amount of time in the meeting itself, because you've designed it in such a way that it's high energy and result driven. Okay, audience profile. Let's start with this first step. And this is an important step because if you don't know the needs of the people in the room, you can't design a great workshop. So who's in the audience? How experienced are they? Why are they bothering to show up? And what are their concerns and objections? For this video, we're going to create a workshop about working remote. So let's say we are talking about knowledge workers who are forced to work from home. They are in level 2 or 3 of the 5 levels of distributed work. So they are recreating the office, or they have a lot of Zoom meetings. And why are they bothering to show up? Well, they don't want to be in Zoom meetings all day, and they want more peace of mind when it comes to working from home. Their concerns and objections could be that it's hard to work together without having a meeting. It's hard to see if someone is productive if you can't see them. And they miss maybe the social element and the small talk when working from home. If you're unsure about any of these questions, then just send a simple message to one of the people who's involved and ask them what they think. Taking breaks is one of the most underused tools when it comes to productivity. So in step 2, we're going to start with planning in the breaks beforehand. And this way you keep the energy levels high and you are more productive as a result. Normally you need a break every 60 to 90 minutes when working in a group setting. And when working remote, you even need more breaks, so 10 minutes for every hour. So for the workshop in our example, we could go for a check-in at 10:30, a 5-minute check-in. We do the first part of the workshop, then we add a break around 11. We do the second part, we do a 5-minute check-out, and we end the workshop at 12 o'clock. So this is the global structure of our workshop. We didn't decide yet on what we're going to do in these parts, but we added the breaks. And this way we can make sure that we can keep everyone's attention. Okay, this is a tough but essential part of designing your workshop. You see, it's even in this text, so it must be true. In step 3, we're going to define learning outcomes. And you have to think beforehand what you want to achieve in your workshop. You need to have focused and sharp learning outcomes, because this way you prevent information overload and endless discussions. And a simple way to do that is to first make a draft of your learning outcomes and then rewrite them and make them more focused and measurable. So for our workshop, our draft learning outcomes for working remote could be the levels of autonomy with distributed work, alternatives to meetings, and to replace one meeting. And if you make them more specific, you can get a better grasp of how much time they will take you. Because if you have to identify what level of autonomy you are in, then you first have to understand what you've just heard, and then you have to apply it yourself. That takes more time than just listening to something. You can apply 3 alternatives to meetings. That means you have to practice skills, so you probably need a chunk of time for that. And I decided to split this one up into 2 bullet points, 2 learning outcomes, because then it's more clear and more actionable about what you're going to do in that step. In a later video, we will deep dive into topics on how you can make this easier for yourself, for example with Bloom's taxonomy. But for now, just try to make it more concrete and make it more sharp yourself. Okay, and in step 4, we're going to add supportive arguments to the learning outcomes and create a workshop outline. Okay, what does that mean? A workshop outline is something like this. What are we going to do in the workshop? We got our learning outcomes over here, and the supportive arguments help us to expand on what we're going to do here. So, for example, if we want to identify what level of autonomy they are in, then they first, I think it's good that they heard that recreating the office online burns you out, so that they learn about the levels of autonomy and what the benefits of asynchronous communication are. Or for the alternatives to meetings, you can show 3 specific alternatives. And what you see here is that you almost directly that it translates into slides. So this could be a slide, just literally stating this. Or we could have a slide with the benefits of asynchronous communication. Or it could be an exercise. So this could be an exercise where people are going to make their work transparent using Trello. And step 5 is super simple, but almost nobody ever does it. And that's to gather feedback about the workshop before doing the actual workshop. Because this way you can learn if you're on the right track before investing a lot of time. I've included an example message right here. Just copy paste it, put your workshop outline below and send the message. In step 6, we're going to decide on the workshop skeleton, and we're going to do that by grabbing the time chunks and smashing it together with the workshop outline. A great example of a workshop skeleton is this one from Sprint, Jake Knapp, and in his checklist, he shows everything from preparation, the supplies you need, to the exercises you're going to do in the sprint. And the schedules are, I guess, approximate. So you start at 10 o'clock sharp, but then you got some wiggle room in the next exercises. So that's well thought out. And then also breaks are built in every 60 to 90 minutes. And every exercise before the break ends on a high. So this way it's also easy to keep the energy in the group. The workshop skeleton from Sprint has been a career changer for me. And since then I've done more than 50 design sprints and counting. And that's also why I started the Workshop Wednesday community, to provide templates to workshop skeletons from this kind of level. So let's get back to our workshop about remote work. We have our time chunks and we're going to smash them together with the workshop outline that we have. And you can see I've already done a bit of the work here. In workshop part 1, before the break, I added this learning outcome, and then the other 3 learning outcomes, I added them after the break. And now I've done that, I can see that maybe it's a bit much in the part 2 of the workshop. I know from experience that this step and this step takes around 10 minutes when done well. So that means we only have 20 minutes for this part left. So what I can do now is either decide to skip things, or I can decide to move a part of this before the break and make things flow better. So that's the sanity check. Do a sanity check on your workshop skeleton after adding the time chunks, and then see if it's possible to achieve all your learning outcomes. Okay, step 7, we're almost there. And luckily this is also one of my guilty pleasures, workshop formats. I can browse the whole day looking for new kinds of workshop formats. As a matter of fact, I used to start with the workshop formats first, and then went looking for outcomes I wanted to achieve with the workshop. And this worked most of the times. It was not always as effective as it could have been. And the times it didn't work, it was a complete failure, resulting in low energy in the group and a lot of endless discussion. Having said all that, workshop formats are a great shortcut for being more productive. And you can see them as building blocks which you can stack upon each other. You want to avoid a teaching yoga with a lecture setting by picking the right workshop formats for your learning outcomes. And to maintain energy and focus, you want to switch workshop formats every 20 minutes. And do it in such a way that you don't repeat the workshop format every time. So instead of doing 3 times the same exercise and then switching up, try to mix it and match it. This will boost energy and refresh everyone's attention. These 5 workshop formats will be sufficient for most of your workshops. Lectures, small group discussions, try it now exercises, voting exercises, and working together alone. In another video, I will go more in depth about workshop formats. For now, we're gonna apply the workshop formats to our workshop skeleton so that you can get a grasp of what it means. So for the first one, I've chosen for a lecture because this is something I'm gonna be telling. Hopefully it's gonna be a compelling story, so it grabs the attention of the group. It's gonna be setting the stage, so this is an important part. And then I want to split up in small group discussions so that people can talk about what they just learned and they can describe the benefits themselves. And then we're gonna collect the benefits and we can put them on the wall. For part 2 of the workshop, I've decided to keep this after the break with the Together Alone workshop format. Together Alone helps people to take some time to make things concrete by themselves before sharing it to the group. You have some silence time, and we're gonna split up in 2 or 3 clusters where the people are gonna come up with ideas on how this can apply to their way of working. And then we're gonna share it with each other. So within 50 minutes, you have an idea of what's the possibilities. People share it with each other, so it's better applicable. And then we're gonna move forward. And in this way, the workshop format helps in overcoming a challenge in the agenda. And this brings us to the last and final step of the workshop creation playbook. And this is to set up your slides and your whiteboard. You already know what you want to achieve in the workshop and how you're going to do it. So it may be possible that you don't even need the slides at all. However, if you're a bit like me, then you like the slides and you like the whiteboard. It gives you some kind of structure. So in the coming weeks, I will be sharing templates in Miro, in Google Slides, in Google Docs, which you can use for your own workshops. If you like this video, then like and subscribe below. It's cliche, but it really helps to spread the word. If you want to download the template, then go over to workshopwednesday.co and you will find everything you need. That's it for now, and see you in the next one. Peace.